Welcome to Club Millennium!
We good? Okay. I'm John Richards here on the morning show. I'm here with David Byrne. Welcome.
Hi, good to be back here.
I should say welcome back to the station.
Yeah.
And the station has grown quite a bit, and
Yes.
we're now in an even bigger room. So I welcome you here. First, if you could just tell us, for those who aren't familiar with Here Lies Love, and just a quick summary of what it is.
Here Lies Love is a musical. I would sort of refer to it as a disco musical, although the music is not strictly disco, but
No.
It is. But it's all dance music. It follows the rise and rapid fall of the wife of the dictator of the Philippines. The wife, her name is Imelda Marcos. She's known for her shoes, but we never mention the shoes.
Nope.
We're doing it at Seattle Rep, and it has a kind of novel setting in that there's no seat. Well, there are seats, but fully half the audience is on the dance floor, and the action takes place all around them on little platforms and stages and amongst them and whatever. So it's very immersive in that way. You're in the disco, and the reason for that is that Imelda loved going to discos. So we're kind of recreating that era.
Can you tell me about where this began, like with the very first seeds of Here Lies Love? Was there a moment? Was there a thing you saw or heard that inspired this?
Well, the idea came gradually, and it was quite a number of years ago. Now it's got to be like 10 years ago now.
Wow.
I probably would never have tried to do it if I knew it would have taken that long. But I think I'd read a book by a guy named Richard Kapuscinski about the Haile Selassie and his court, and what a weird little insular world that was. And I realized, a lot of powerful people create little worlds around themselves. They live in their own bubble. I mean, now we talk about kind of the bubble of the internet or social media, but these are kind of another kind of bubble. And I thought, and it's the behavior inside that bubble is very artificial and prescribed, and in a certain way, like you have to behave a certain way around this person and say these things and do that. And I thought, it's very theatrical. It's not real life. It's an artificial world, and I sort of filed that away. And then I read a little while later that Imelda Marcos loved going to dance clubs. Studio 54 and those kinds of things were around at the time when she was in power. But it went further. She had a mirror ball installed in her townhouse in New York. She had the roof of the palace in Manila converted basically into like a karaoke and disco club.
Wow.
And I saw a video online of her dancing under the mirror ball in her house with the arms dealer Khashoggi, and I thought, these images are just incredible. This whole combination of kind of the dance music and the arms dealer and this kind of outrageous woman, and I thought, if there's a story here, this could be the setting.
Were you familiar at all? I mean, you talk about her being in New York and the time you were probably...
Yeah, I was around then.
Yeah. Did you have any
She was
history?
already the Marcos regime was already a dictatorship at that point. So she was kind of persona non grata amongst my crowd. But amongst some of the kind of uptown disco crowd, she was part of the social set.
So it's at the Seattle Met. I went on Saturday.
So I heard.
Yeah, we had a great time, and I had so many questions about the logistics of it. I'm married to a person who used to do production and do staging and things, so it was a different way to watch this take place. And from the minute you get there, there's warnings, and you're not leaving, and and it was in a good way. I thought, wow, I've never sat down and said, okay, if you leave, you're done. We need you to stay for the hour and a half. It's going to go straight through. And I thought, this is great. This is like nothing I've experienced really in this way. So talking about the logistics, the physical part of the setup, how hard is it to bring that to Seattle and build out that space? And is it evolving? Do you have to tweak things and wait for a performance to happen to really to know if it's working or not?
Okay, I'm going to back up a little bit. When I started thinking about this idea, at that time, and in her era, and more so even later, there were these mega discos, like there'd be a warehouse. Occasionally I'd go to one of them back in the day, and if there was a kind of disco singer, a club singer, say Gloria Gaynor or Frida Payne or whatever, they would do a tour where they would have a little tape with their backing tracks on. They would go to the disco and stand on a little teeny tiny stage and just sing along with their backing tracks. Right. And they would so their entire show would take maybe 15 minutes. And I thought, wow, that's really interesting, doing a show that way. What if you had more of it, more of these little stages around the periphery, and you could actually tell a story, but the audience is still kind of grooving in the middle and having a good time and doing whatever else they're doing. And it proved impossible. By the time the thing started getting off the ground, those big discos no longer existed. They were subdivided into VIP rooms and bottle rooms and all the other kinds of things. But the kind of theater said, well, we can convert our space into something like that. We can artificially recreate this, which is, the Seattle rep had seen the show in New York and said, okay, we want to see if we can do that here. We're going to convert what a normal theater into a dance club. Right. Plans were drawn up, and it's pretty elaborate what they did. It is. Yeah. Okay, obviously, they took out all the orchestra seats.
Yeah, all the seats are out.
All the seats are out. And the stage level, and then there's a platform built out over what would have been the orchestra seats. Right. So the stage basically extends. So some of the action and where you are as an audience member is actually on the existing stage. Right. Some of it is kind of a few feet over the orchestra seats. And then to accommodate more people, there's these kind of galleries that are built on metal pylons, earthquake-proof, and so people can kind of, as would happen in a disco, they're kind of up there, peering over the edge people. And dancing around up there, and then the regular balcony of the theater is there too, and that kind of meets one of the walls of where the actors are and that kind of thing. So it's pretty complicated doing that. It's a big gulp for Seattle rep. It's very brave of them to do this, but I have to say, it's bragging, but the audiences, I think, are loving it, and I think Seattle rep is feeling like, oh, I think we did the right thing here.
Well, I got tickets when I heard you talk about it. It just the unique part of it. You see so many shows, so much music, and there's original performances and original productions, but this sounded like something I hadn't been to before. And the minute I walked in, I went, yup, this is something I've been in before. And it felt like every inch of that room was taken. There was something going on.
Always something going on.
The minute you walk in.
Oh yeah, there's videos everywhere of Imelda and portraits of her and kind of a map of the Philippines in psychedelic lights and
you have the DJ going.
There's a DJ booth up in the corner and there's all kinds of stuff going on.
As a creative person who has to pull off a production, you have ideas, you have this vision, and then you have reality. Mm-hmm. Does it get close? Is it frustrating for you if it doesn't quite hit? And it could be this or anything else you've created. Being a creative person and having to go to people and say, okay, be it Seattle rep or anyone else when they pull this off. When you walk in, does it reach where you hoped it would be? Are there things you said you can't do?
I would say that this is actually reaching what it's supposed to do now. Here, he's reaching what it's supposed to do more here than it did in New York.
Oh, great.
In New York, the space was smaller. There were maybe fire code things or something else or kind of worries that they had. There were fewer people on the dance floor. And here, there's more people on the dance floor, which has the effect of kind of removing some of their inhibitions.
Yeah.
People feel they don't feel like you're watching. If they're dancing, they don't feel like, oh, I don't want people looking at me while I'm dancing. And so when there's more people packed in there, nobody's looking at anybody else. They're just all packed in and having a good time. So that kind of raises the kind of lowers the inhibitions and raises the excitement level. And I thought, oh, this is better than it used to be.
And I have to say, in Seattle, we do have a reputation for not necessarily singing and dancing out loud.
I'm aware of that.
And I have to say,
yes.
that room was moving when I was there.
I was like, this is Seattle? What?
Well, and then I saw you there too, and that, if you wanted it to or not, it's David Byrne in the audience, and it was fun to see you react to it. Like everybody else, you sang along and you were doing the dance.
Yes,
and,
yeah.
I
Do
think
all the stuff. There with a little notepad.
Yeah, I saw that.
Making kind of little technical notes and this and that.
So for the performers, the singers and just a really great cast, and this has got to be different for them. This has got to be, since this is so unique, it's a unique performance for them. I would assume they're really feeding off an audience being this close, and they interact with the audience. So when they were, I think when I first realized how connected they were to the performers was during, he was elected and they were shaking hands and everyone, and I thought it was kind of funny because they go, oh, we won, and they're all cheering. I thought, well, you're cheering because Marcos, well, that's not good.
Yes.
You don't actually want him to win.
Yes, you go, well, you know that this is going to be a dictator, right?
Yeah.
And you're cheering him on.
I thought, okay, they've done a good job. They're cheering a dictator suddenly, you don't even know it.
Yes.
But what is talking to the performers and their performances here in Seattle so far, what has been their reaction?
At least half the performers are from the original cast in either New York or London.
Yeah.
Then some are supplemented, some are new. It's a really tight-knit group. Most of them are Filipino. And so just beyond just the fact that they interact with the audience and all the other stuff going on, their parents, let's say, some of their parents lived through this era.
Yeah.
Some of their parents were kind of anti-Marcos, kind of opposition. So to them, it feels like it's their own history or their parents' history. It's something very close. It's something that they feel is in danger of being forgotten. Certainly by the present government in the Philippines wants all this to be forgotten.
Sure.
And yeah, so and the interactions with the audience, I could kind of go on and on. As a whatever pop music performer, you have various kinds of interactions with an audience, but it's really on a kind of different level. The other day, there was a woman who was like giving the finger to the performers. At one point in the story, she obviously had strong political feelings and identified. And
Sure.
I thought, that's an actress, That's not the person you are angry with. But
Wow. Well,
that kind of things happen. And then, as sometimes happens in pop concerts, but rarely happens in the theater.
in the theater, right.
You get that kind of reaction where people are yelling at the performers, or I haven't seen it happen here yet, but in New York, there'd be people who would decide to get into a party frame of mind before the show, and they'd pass out at some point during the show.
I imagine
you just
how
go, all right, do we stop?
Yeah,
or
exactly.
do we just drag them out?
during the disco scene too. You would think
Yes!
I had without knowing, I had the biggest grin on my face. And how you enclose that into that small space, like these little mirrored walls that were created. I thought, yeah, if you were under any kind of influence, you would definitely join in. I think there is a risk there. I walked out and I was trying to listen to comments from people as I headed out. One was, wow, I didn't know anything about the Philippines. I only knew about the shoes.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
and then the next woman I sat next to, an older woman, I think she's probably a season ticket holder, a supporter of the rep, and she was older, probably 80 maybe. And sitting there, I sat next to her. She was exhausted. And part of this musical is you feel like you've been through something with people, which is a great feeling, like a great show, like a live show that you've gone to. Anyway, she just said, "I've been standing for an hour and a half and dancing. I haven't done that in years."
Oh.
And I said, "That's so great." I said,
Yes.
"What did you think?" And she said, "I just loved it. It just made me dance." And then her husband came up, who was probably in his 80s, put her coat on her, and they held hands and walked out the door. And I thought, well, that's not a measure of success.
That's pretty great. That's pretty great.
You didn't make just Seattle dance. You had people who maybe didn't think they. I think some people show up and don't realize.
Yes, and some people, if they hear that they might be dancing or whatever, they're going, "Oh no, I'm not going to do that. Stand for an hour and a half? Oh no."
I like that. I like that their boundaries being pushed as well, and then the stagehands, or I don't know. If
Oh yeah, we
consider
refer to them as the audience wranglers.
That's even better. That's better. I loved how you see sort of through costume changes and changes on stage. You'll catch a glimpse in musicals and shows, but they are the show. And they have the airplane hangar lights, and once they start going with the crown down, I don't know. I just felt like the wall was broken, and once you had they were directing everybody else. I think everybody's in at that point of the musical.
Yeah, I have to explain a little bit that.
Yep.
There are sections where there's the little stages start to move around. They and the audience has to kind of accommodate that. They have to move out of the way. They have to fill in this area, move here, and so we have these audience wranglers in pink jumpsuits with little glow stick airplane lights. Like, okay, everybody move that way, and it's a thing.
We're so scared of you put warnings on stairs and you have to put warnings on for everything. I think. It takes some guts to have a revolving stage where, and I saw them, like some people weren't moving and they had to, you
Give
have
them
to
a
move.
little shove, huh?
You have to move or that stage is going to take you out, man.
Yeah, so nobody's got pinched in there, but if they do, that's, ooh, ouch. Keep your fingers out of there.
So you were there, you've been at the play, you've been to the musical, you've hung out. Are you here for the run of it?
No, I'm here it's in what are called previews.
Okay.
Which means we can still make little fixes, which is what we're doing.
Right.
They're by and large fairly small sound mix things, lighting stuff, adjusting where someone stands or how things work like that. They're fairly small, but they add up. You do enough of them, and it kind of makes things be a little bit tighter. So I'm around for all that, and then it opens, I think, the 20th. And then we can't make any more changes. Then it has to, and that's when presumably reviews would come out and all that kind of stuff. And that's when I'm gone because there's nothing more I can do.
Once the reviews are out, you're out of here.
Yes, I can't look at that.
Part of the music I wanted to talk about too that I really loved was the black and white cameras, the live news feed. Is within, like you're watching this news, like it's a real piece. You feel like you're watching an interview on the news from the 50s or 60s or whatever it was done in black and white. And it was sort of out of my view. I was looking at the screen when I thought it was recorded, and I realized it's taking place like 10 feet from me.
Yes.
Where did that idea come from? And if you could explain that, there's cameramen in the production and they're filming and that's being aired while they talk in front of the audience. That may just have made it more confusing for everybody. But
a lot of those ideas came from Alex Timbers, the director, who has done a lot of theater work before. And my insistence was that there be as little kind of dialogue scenes as possible, or maybe none, if at all possible.
Yeah.
There's very, very few. And so the challenge for Alex then was, how do we convey that information combined with the kind of song and the staging and everything like that? So there's a scene where Marcos is running for election, and the song it doesn't say elect me, elect me. The song is more what's in his head, how he's going to present himself, how if he had the perfect political wife, that would help kind of move his political efforts ahead, all those kinds of things. So it's not, the song itself is not telling you,
Yeah, you're right.
I'm running for election, vote for me, vote for me. But Alex, by staging it with this live video cameras and him moving amongst the audience, trying to electioneering and shaking people's
they're
hands.
on camera.
Yeah, with the audience members.
Very confused.
Yeah, vote for me, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, you get the idea that, oh yeah, he's running for election.
Yeah, I really like that part. And without, I didn't go in thinking about our current political climate or in the Philippines, which is probably a new story that could be told. But it did creep in as I was watching. When the martial law is enforced, when you see the family members, the wife, Imelda, taking over the government, and it made me think about current politics in our own country.
Yeah, it gets pretty dark.
Yeah.
The show starts very light and kind of frothy, a lot of fun, and then it turns very dark at some point.
Yeah, the assassination in the airport, I thought, not to give it away, but scared the living hell out of me when that when that goes off. Like, oh, this isn't that loud, and just about fell out of my seat. But I felt some sadness at that part, just worried about our own climate, and talking about being a musician and working with what is that role of theater and the arts when it comes to our political climate? Is it to warn people of what's coming? Is it to protest? Is it all of those things?
Wow. Yeah, of course, we all have very strong opinions about the current political situation. For me, the kind of direct political opinions and stuff I find, to me, are best done outside of, say, music, they're best done indirectly. I mean, I get involved with various political groups and money raising campaigns and this and that, but to make it a song, that's kind of difficult. I have another musical that's running in New York now, one about Joan of Arc. And it has a similar effect. I mean, there's a lot of story, but Joan of Arc is a very young, very androgynous girl who leads an army to liberate her country.
Right.
Needless to say, it touches on empowerment issues. It touches on gender issues because she is so androgynous. Et cetera, et cetera. And so it resonates to all these other things, but it never says it. It never says, well, we have one reference in the very beginning where it was Alex's idea. In that show, there's a banner that has Mitch McConnell's admonition to Elizabeth Warren. Huh. She persisted and she wouldn't listen, and and then that's the only reference to the current stuff.
Sure. How could you not do that? That's so
yes. But this one too. There's no direct kind of dogmatic kind of things, but after a while you start to go, oh, this is familiar right here. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's further removed from a younger generation or people who didn't live through more. I remember some of it in the news. And again, like you said, I think it's great you don't mention the shoes because that would distract you.
Yes.
That was just one small item on the list of things that she spent a lot of money on and that government spent a lot of money on. And for me, it crept in. And here I am having a great day. Yeah, thanks a lot. So here I am having a great date night, and suddenly I have to get serious.
Yes.
But I thought it was, I think that's a good thing. And you're outspoken outside of, like you just mentioned, outside of being creative about it, but about the arts and about the current political climate and the support of the arts. I thought you had a great quote, and I think more people should show. We did that in Seattle when we showed the value of what the arts bring to this city. If you show the amount of money it brings in, tourist money and money spent at shows and on restaurants when you go out and all of that.
It's incredible.
You said it's somewhere around 170 million, I think the government spends.
It's a billion, 135 billion
Comes back.
Comes back into the economy, and that's just from nonprofit.
Just for
arts.
nonprofit.
Yeah, if you start factoring profit commercial art and performance and theater stuff, it goes up to like 700 some billion, and you just go. I mean, you want to take that out of the economy, really? Talk about the bank bailout. I mean, this is just like insane, and the amount that it takes, the investment that the government makes to get that back, is like 1/100th of that amount.
Right. That's insane.
It's a great
You would
investment.
think whatever party you were in, you would be supportive of something
Yes,
bringing that much
yeah.
money and
You may
jobs.
hate the art. You may hate the theater. You may think modern dance is a bunch of nonsense, but it's a great investment.
When you see the arts being attacked, like they are at that level, or be it funding, or just, and with the dictatorship, one of the things you do, you attack the arts. You
Yes.
take out the creative people.
Yes, the arts are very threatening to dictators.
And do you feel that as a creative? Do you see that? Do you see friends? Is there, like, what's the environment? What's the people around you? What's their concern right now?
They're sort of scrambling and wondering, okay, how are we going to survive?
Right.
How are we going to pay our bills? Those kinds of things.
So on a bigger level now, because that's usually
Oh, geez, yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, getting back to Here Lies Love. Can you mention the name, the title too? Here Lies.
Oh, yeah. What you mean? Where
Where
did
it
that
came
come
from?
from?
Yeah.
Oh my! I saw an interview with Imelda Marcos, and she has a way with words. She's with a sound bite. She said that when I'm dead, when I'm ready to be put in my grave, don't put my name on my tombstone. Just put the words, "Here lies love," because everything I did in my entire life was done for love. And you just go, is she serious?
And they
yeah.
did love her, though. She was
They
elected
did.
to office after. She's exiled.
She's
the
in
U.S.
politics
government,
now.
yeah,
She's
they
in
bail her
yeah.
out. Helicopters come in,
Yeah, memories are short.
and they elect her.
Yeah, and yeah, as happens in the show, the audience is cheering them on, and yeah, and then it goes to a dark place.
Well, it runs at Seattle Rep, I think, through end of May into, I believe that's
June,
correct.
maybe?
Yeah,
I'm
into
not- yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, at Seattle Rep, right next door to KEXP. And I clearly recommend going to that. So you have Joan of Arc, you talked about that. What's next for you? Is it going back to New York and working on that, or do you have...
Just working on a record.
Working on a record?
A record.
Can I ask about the record? Do you have anything?
I don't have. Do I have anything?
Yeah.
I have songs. And songs are written.
Yeah.
Now it's just kind of production and.
Is it you? Are you collaborating? Is it?
I'm collaborating with other people, with kind of electronic musicians and other people who've people who come in and. Sampha,
Yeah, oh yeah.
He came in and played a little bit.
Right, yeah.
No singing, just played some stuff. And, Dev Hines, whom I know because we did a kind of color guard project together.
Yes.
He came in one day. Yeah.
One question, my last question, is something I've been asking people lately in our current, climate with the arts and music, and something we believe in here at KEXP, and that's why music matters. Why does music matter to you?
Well, why does it matter to me? As lots of people have said, it gets them through high school. And probably me too. Me too.
That's a perfect
I
answer.
don't think it helped my grades.
No,
but it got me through it.
You and I both. That's
Got me through my adolescence.
That's perfect.
And you realize, that's just one little thing.
Yeah.
But it's really obvious that at that age you find some music and you go, oh my God, there's other people like me out there.
Right.
I'm not alone.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah.
And Here Lies Love again. I couldn't recommend it enough. And thanks for being here today. I appreciate it.
Thank you.